This is CBC Here and Now.
1,500 tires and 30,000 pounds of garbage. Diver Sean Bath has made it his mission to clean up harbors all around the province, and now he's getting a boatload of help. That's coming up on Here and Now.
It's been fairly windy, but it looks like we're going to get a little bit of break from that.
A major fire takes out the fire hall, town office, library, and many other services.
Because we don't know when it's going to be rebuilt. I don't know if the library will come back. We don't know if the resource center will be back.
I'm Colleen Connors, and I'll take you to Lessee tonight on Here and Now.
Welcome to Here and Now. I'm Carolyn Stokes.
And I'm Anthony Germain. We begin tonight with the latest on COVID cases in the province.
The province is reporting 2 new cases of COVID-19 today, and the source of one of those cases has not been traced yet. Both people are in the Eastern Health Region and are residents of the province. The first is a woman in her 50s. Public Health is still working out how and where she got the virus, but she has been self-isolating. The second is a man in his 40s who just came back from working in Ontario. He's also been isolating. There are now 9 active cases in the province, with 1 person hospitalized. 7 of those cases have been reported since Friday. Well, there is good news on the vaccine front. Early research suggests 2 potential vaccines are highly effective. If all goes well, people could be getting vaccinated by early next year. But that raises a question. Is the province ready to track who is and who isn't getting their shots? Our CBC Investigates producer Rob Antle has been checking into this and has this report.
Work has been ongoing in places like this to create a vaccine for the coronavirus, and work has also been going on here and here to ensure that officials in this province can keep track of who's vaccinated once it's available. This briefing note from the summer called an immunization registry an urgent requirement, with the province spending more than $5 million a year on vaccinations, but no computer software to track who has what shots. Now some good news with possible COVID vaccines waiting in the wings.
Ready. We actually pulled ourselves up by our bootstraps from around the time that briefing note was written, and we have worked with NLCHI, and we have a Made in Newfoundland and Labrador solution.
More modern technology is being used this fall as people go for flu shots. Real-time information available electronically.
This is really a dry run for the COVID vaccine.
For now, it's just flu shots and COVID. Childhood vaccinations are still tracked by paper in little booklets like this one that families have to keep track of. But changes are coming down the road.
We'll be ready for COVID, and then we can enlarge it for regular vaccinations.
It's something that the public health community has been talking about and advocating for decades, in fact.
Ian Colbert of the Canadian Public Health Association says many jurisdictions are in the same boat, still relying on paper immunization records, a symptom of a bigger issue, a lack of attention paid to public health.
Health promotion and disease prevention is often seen as something that is optional, and it isn't optional, as we see today with COVID-19. Protecting and preventing disease and illness should be the #1 priority of every government.
We have in public health had a group of people who've worked very hard, but really it's been a bit of a Cinderella specialty over the years.
That's a British term for an underappreciated, underfunded area of medicine. Something the current COVID crisis may be changing. Rob Antle, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, after a windy evening last night, it turned out to be a pretty beautiful day this afternoon, reaching a high near 8 degrees in the east and relatively light winds today. Similar temperatures across the board. They did steadily decline, though, through the afternoon. Not a whole lot happening weather-wise. We do have some showers and some flurries on the go for the western portion of the island. That will generally continue as we head through the overnight tonight. And these winds as well, like I said, we topped out, this was after midnight, topped out at 78 kilometers per hour in St. John's, 98 in Bonavista. But as we head through the next 24 hours, those winds will finally ease in the east. At one point may not see any wind tomorrow afternoon, and then along the west coast we're looking at about 20 to 40 kilometer per hour gusts. This will stick around for a few days, but I'll have all those details coming up.
Thanks, Ashley. Fire destroyed the main hub of community services in Lessee just over a week ago, and now the small town is trying to recover from a major loss. Here now's Colleen Connors takes us there.
At first glance, this large structure looks to have some smoke damage, minor even. But from the back, it's a whole other story. The building is dilapidated.
And I pulled up here and I thought it looks fine, but then I went around the back and I knew then.
Lessee had a scheduled power outage on the first Saturday of the month. 1 hour later, flames were pouring out of the firemen's hall and offices. Smoke billowed from the eaves. Volunteer firefighters had to work fast, while also scrambling to get their equipment out of the building.
It was pretty sad, and I guess a lot of adrenaline was running too, and we were trying to make decisions what was the best decision to do with our fire trucks and that, right?
The fire hall, ambulance services, town office, library, and family resource center, all gone. If not burned, then badly damaged by smoke.
I don't know if the library will come back. We don't know if the resource center will be back. I think it's going to have a major impact on us for a while.
Big deal. Yeah, I mean, it was 5 things under this building, right?
For now, the town has implemented temporary plans with council chambers and ambulance services set up at the arena. Fire trucks are set up and ready to go at the Marine Center, with plans to build a temporary structure to house the equipment over the winter. As for the library,
Yeah, I'm home. I'm still working. We've set up a little drop box in front of my house for the patrons around Lessee that has books. They can drop them back there.
some good news, no flames reached the books. They're now in storage, also at the arena.
Would be smoke damage. The building, like you can see right there, everything was normal as I left it when you came in. It had a little bit of smell, but not too bad. So I think they'll be fine. We should know soon.
That means no need for donations at this point. Residents can receive books by mail or use the digital library until a new physical space is available.
Well, right now, we're meeting with some people in government too. We're going to see what funding is out there for us. And we did carry insurance too for our building and our content. So we're hoping that that's going to be enough to cover us to build our new build.
The mayor says that an insurance adjuster will be here this week to do a full assessment of the building, and then hopefully they'll find out exactly how this fire started. Then comes the discussion about teardown and the eventual rebuild and when exactly that will happen. Colleen Connors, CBC News, Lessee.
About 4,000 people in the Botwood area will be without water tonight. They didn't have it for much of the day either. From 9 o'clock tonight until 7 tomorrow morning, the taps are going to be shut off in Botwood, Peterview, as well as Northern Arm. Workers thought that they found the source of the problem yesterday, but that didn't pan out. Tonight's shut-off will allow the supply to replenish enough in time for schools tomorrow morning. The mayor is asking residents for patience because the problem might persist. Well, police in the province are concerned about an alarming trend in what is called centerline crashes. That's when a vehicle drifts across the center of the road into the opposite lane. Tragically, this can also mean crossing into the path of oncoming traffic. Cease here has more on this dangerous trend, but first a warning, some viewers may find the details in Cease's report difficult.
November 12th, 2019, this centerline crash on the Trans-Canada Highway near Norris Arm North killed 2 people, injured 3 others, one of them critically. RCMP say crashes like these, centerline head-on collisions, have taken nearly 24 lives in less than 2 years. In 2019, the uptick in centerline crashes could not be ignored. 16 people died this way in 10 separate accidents. That means 2 out of every 3 road deaths in the RCMP's jurisdiction. And so far this year, 7 people have been killed in 5 of these crashes. That's a total of 23 deaths, many of them, police say, preventable.
Unfortunately, the only pattern is that there is no pattern. Nothing is showing up with our data to say a time of day, a time of night, a location. There's really no rhyme or reason. These incidents are happening throughout the year, throughout the province, throughout the day.
The crashes happen everywhere. The Trans-Canada secondary routes, one in Clarenville, one on a gravel road, and in 2 cases, when the vehicles drifted over the center line, they ended up in the ditch of the opposing lane. Garland says the vast majority are caused by human error, distracted driving, meaning they're avoidable. It's the driver who has control when they get behind the wheel over things like impairment, fatigue, or cell phone use.
Oftentimes in the vehicle, people could be bent down picking up an item that they dropped, children in the back trying to get attention, anything that shifts the driver's focus from the primary task at hand, which would be driving. 2 hands on the wheel, eyes forward.
And while it's not known if a phone played a role in any of the 23 deaths, Garland is urging drivers to steer clear of their cell phones.
Sure, you can put down your phone while passing a police car, pick it back up again and continue texting or whatever you're doing. The ticket is not what they should be worried about. It's causing death or injury, serious injury or death to themselves or to somebody else. That should be that main focus, and changing their driving habits is what they should be looking at.
Speaking of preventable, Garland says 6 people in those crashes were not wearing seatbelts, and in 4 cases, impairment was a factor. The RCMP hope to hit this message home about the real and devastating dangers of distracted driving. They want drivers, when they get behind the wheel, to think about their loved ones at home and to do everything they can to stay in their own lane. Cease here, CBC News, Torbay.
The latest look at fish stocks and whether or not they are healthy does not paint a pretty picture. Every year for the past 4 years, the independent organization Oceana has carried out what it calls a fishery audit. Now that looks at how fish stocks are managed and whether they are in the critical, cautious, or healthy zone. In this province, 9 different fish stocks are in the critical zone. Across the country, 33 stocks are considered critical. On top of that, there is a decline in healthy stocks, with many moving into the cautious zone, which means they're nearly in trouble. Oceana says there is a large gap between what the federal government has committed to doing and what it is actually doing when it comes to the fishery.
Well, Salvation Army kicked off its Christmas kettle campaign today, and like most things, it too has been affected by COVID-19. Still, undaunted, the group hopes to raise $700,000. Here now's Jeremy Eaton reports.
Friends, it's hard to believe, but Christmas is actually less than 40 days away.
The Salvation Army's Major Renee Lovelace led the launch this morning from the Avalon Mall. Filling these kettles is a well-known annual tradition. There's a new plan for 2020.
Things are different this year because of the pandemic situation that we're in. The need is lifted to a whole new level, so we need to have a very successful campaign, and we're certainly looking forward to that.
According to the organization, across the province last year, the Salvation Army helped more than 35,000 people and provided over 46,000 free meals.
We're seeing these increases showing up now when it comes to our community and family services, our food bank usage. Some people are coming to us for the very first time in their lives because they need to.
Last Christmas, it also provided holiday assistance to more than 7,100 people. But all that costs money. The Salvation Army has set a lofty goal this holiday season. It's hoping to match the amount of money brought in last year.
For the province, we'd like to raise $700,000, so we have a long ways to go.
Before the launch party had even taken off, they got a big boost, a $5,000 check from the window shop. But to fill up these kettles requires volunteers, another thing that the pandemic has made a little harder.
We know there's going to be challenges when it comes to the volunteer side, which is absolutely critical for us to do the kettle campaign. We rely heavily on volunteers.
Lovelace is hopeful the Salvation Army will see more first-timers or that businesses will step up to help work the kettles. He assures everyone that safety will be a top priority. Masks will be required. Donors will fill out a self-screening declaration and follow all social distancing rules.
All of our equipment is regularly cleaned throughout the day. So we're taking these steps, and we believe that we can operate safely.
And one of those safe ways is the recently introduced touchless tap option.
Or in front of the individual.
Jeremy Eaton, CBC News, St. John's.
Quiet weather over the next couple of days, but that does mean some onshore flurries possible for the West Coast. I'll have all those details coming up.
on your street.
Calling all kids. We're looking to share your stories for our new segment, On Your Street. Interview your pet, show us how to make your favorite snack, or give us a tour of your favorite place. The options are endless. For all the details and to submit your video, head to cbc.ca/NL and click on the Community tab.
Well, this time of year, for many kids and their parents, one of the highlights of the holiday season is having their picture taken with Santa Claus. But even Santa has to follow the COVID-19 restrictions. So this year, the pictures are going to look a little different. And in tonight's installment of Our New Normal, we dropped by the Avalon Mall in St. John's to see if this tradition can remain magical even when it happens behind plexiglass.
Oh, Merry Christmas to you. And you're all dressed up with Team Santa. How nice of you to do that. And what's your name?
Audrey.
Oh, Audrey, that's a lovely name. And how old are you, Audrey?
It's because of COVID, so we don't get to sit on Santa's lap anymore.
How does that make you feel?
Sad. As long as we see Santa, that's okay.
Well, this year is such a big difference because of the distance. We got to have the wide angle shot. People got to be 6 feet away from Santa Claus. They don't sit on Santa Claus's lap. It's a big difference, but people are very understanding. They understand. Some people even want to leave their masks on to remember it as a COVID Christmas. And what's your names?
I'm Isabella.
Oh, you're going to have to speak up. Santa got is hard of hearing. This was a kind of a learning as we went. We kind of, the administration plus us, plus the engineering people, tried to figure it out as we go because it's never been done before. So we're kind of setting a standard as long as we can stay safe. That's the critical component of it.
So Avalon Mall has implemented a number of safety measures to keep the children and families as well as Santa safe. Santa now sits a reindeer's length away from the children, and we have plexiglass in between them, and then Santa's helpers wipe down and sanitize the set in between each of the groups that are coming through. Everyone is just very happy and excited. I think we're all grateful that with safety measures put in place that we're able to still have many of the key elements that we enjoy year to year through the holiday season.
Merry Christmas, Mom.
It's nice to have some sort of normal for the children during Christmas, so this just meant the world to her this morning to be able to do it, to see Santa, because she was very nervous she wouldn't be able to. At our house we have each picture from every year on the wall, so this year will look a little bit different, but again it'll be a story to be able to share with her for sure.
Smile, sit up nice and tall. If this wasn't here, I think people would be disappointed. It's all in the heart of the children and the attitude of the parents. You can keep the magic and Santa Claus can wave and he can still speak. And are you going to leave anything out for Santa for Christmas? Milk and cookies. Oh, that sounds good. And it's just like we have friends. I see people on the street, they go, I know you. And it's because we've taken their picture traditionally over years. Eh? Don't forget to put your mask on. You know what? People are so understanding. They appreciate it. They're used to it now. Every store you go to, it's just becoming now a somewhat of a way of life.
Merry Christmas to you
too. So many changes this year. It's amazing.
It really is, yeah.
Well, one thing that stays the same though is that the weather is always changing. I don't know if that makes sense. It was a lovely day today in St. John's. Lots of sunshine and fairly warm.
Mild temperatures, and the lack of wind today made those temperatures feel a lot nicer than they actually were. Let's take a look at where we sat for most of the day today. 8 degrees in St. John's, 10 in Marystown, and then a number of areas seeing those mid to high single digits. A little cooler up through Labrador, 3 degrees in Happy Valley, Goose Bay, 2 in Makovic, and -4 this afternoon in Lab City. You've dropped a few more degrees, and we'll continue to do so as we head through the night tonight. We're looking at temperatures in the single digits already. They started dropping earlier today, but 3 degrees in St. John's right now, 2 in Corner Brook, and reporting some snow, some sloppy snow apparently as well. So if you are out on the roads, definitely be careful. That's going to be the story as we head through the overnight, as we can see some of these showers and flurries making their way towards the interior overnight. And then maybe the potential for a few showers in the eastern areas as well, making their way towards the Avalon Burin Peninsula possible as we head into the overnight, and then some flurries mainly up through Labrador, heading towards the coast as well as we head into the early morning hours tomorrow. But temperatures tonight are going to be chilly. We're looking at minus single digits along the west coast towards the interior, into the mid-minus single digits. The winds will be light in the east, going down to about 1 degree in St. John's, again with that potential for a few showers overnight tonight. Along the west coast, you're looking at west-southwesterlies about 20 to 40 kilometers per hour. Breezy though for Lab Cities, going down to minus 11 tonight with those westerlies anywhere from 30 to 50 kilometers per hour. So wind chill certainly a factor tonight, and then some clear skies, the story for coastal areas of Labrador, with southwesterlies anywhere from 20 to 40 kilometers per hour. Tomorrow, not a whole lot going on weather-wise either. We're still going to see that potential for onshore flurries on the west coast, maybe making their way towards the interior, and then again the potential for some showers, maybe a few flurries in the Burin Peninsula, or a mix of rain and snow, and then same thing for the Avalon as far as those showers go. But we should see some sunshine at times as well. Those flurries potentially making their way up through the northern portion of the northern peninsula, as well as flurries for Labrador. But that's pretty much the only story. The winds will be generally light tomorrow. At times, probably not even going to see any wind. 5 degrees in St. John's, with again that potential for some showers through the day. Single digits as you head towards Clarenville, Bonavista as well. Marystown, you're seeing a high near 4 degrees tomorrow. Towards Central, likely some flurries possible up along the northeast coast, and then towards Grand Falls, Windsor as well. You may see a few flurries into the afternoons. Your temperatures only hover around 1 or 2 degrees. Same thing on the west coast with those onshore flurry potential continuing. Maybe a few showers in the mix for Port aux Basques around 3 degrees. Those higher elevations is likely where we'll see the potential for some flurries. 1 in St. Anthony, and then the southeastern portion of the Big Land, you're looking at your temperatures hovering around 0 or 1 degree with some sunshine. Maybe a few flurries in the afternoon. Shouldn't amount to much really anywhere. Happy Valley, Goose Bay -3 and -8 in Lab City. But again, those winds are going to be brisk. As we head through the beginning, or the middle of the weekend rather, we're going to see the potential for showers, flurries continue through Thursday as these temperatures stay cold. A little bit of a ridge of high pressure will skirt south of us, but it is still looking unsettled. So that mix of rain or snow in the higher elevations will move in again Thursday night, continue through the day on Friday with that risk of showers heading further east, and then flurry potential up through Labrador. So temperatures really not moving much. We'll see a dip down to below 0 for Thursday for most of us, -10 for Lab City, and then as we head into Friday, a little bit of a jump, and that's when we're going to see that potential for a few showers as well. 2 degrees in St. John's, either rain snow mix or flurries changing to showers for Central. 1 or 2 degrees for you, and then on the coast as well, on the west coast anyway, 3 degrees for Corner Brook, -3 in Happy Valley, Goose Bay, with the potential for some showers and or flurries, flurries, and then flurries for Lab City as well. Now over the next couple of days, we'll see a roller coaster of temperatures, down below 0, like I said, on Thursday, then back up into the mid-single digits as we head into Saturday. Looking like that's when we'll see the best chance of some showers, and then by Sunday, the temperatures will dip, and then that will change back over to the potential for some flurries. Likely some sunshine in the mix towards central and western Newfoundland, with overnight lows dipping, it looks like, into central as we head into the weekend and the beginning of next week, into those minus double digits. So it is going to be chilly coming up. And then for eastern Labrador, you're looking at overnight lows again into the minus double digits, maybe a little bit of a warm up on Friday, hovering around the 0 degree mark on Saturday. And then sunshine, the story for you, but with those cooler temperatures. For western Labrador, rather, you're looking at pretty much just the potential for flurries right through Friday, a little bit of more sunshine in play for both Saturday and Sunday. I wanted to share this shot. I thought this was a really lovely one. Early morning on Manuels River. Ellen McPherson shared that one with us. And if you have any weather photos to share with us, send them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Welcome back to Here and Now. Sean Bath has spent a lot of time diving in harbors just like this one here in Cupids. For the past 2 years, he's been hauling up garbage that's been littering the harbor floors. Now, what began as one person's passion for the environment has grown into a full-fledged operation. Joining me now is Sean Bath. So, Sean, this is a really big day for you. Tell me what's happening here.
It is a really big day. As you know, last January we had this boat donated to us by the family of the late Lindsay Penton, and since that time we've had numerous different contractors now working on the boat with us to try to get it to where it's at today. And we sold advertising space to help pay for some of the stuff we needed for our boat, and as you can see, our boat is all stickered out with different logos and whatever. Prior to having our own boat, we were just jumping off the wharf, swimming out and tying stuff on, using our truck to haul it up. But now we've got a nice hydraulic system put in place, and we've got a beautiful boat. So this is going to be done now on more of a commercial level.
Yeah, what kind of a difference will this make?
There's days just myself diving, we hauled out as high as 50, 60 tires, some days even over 100 one day. And with the boat, we're going to be able to do way better than that. We'll have a full crew aboard our boat, and eventually we'll have an auxiliary boat to go along with it. And we should be able to bring out 100 tires a day out of the water, along with thousands and thousands of pounds of other trash.
And tell me more about this donation of this boat. How did all of this come about?
Well, I went down and I asked Nick Penton one day, would they consider selling this boat ring? And he said they didn't have any plans on selling it at the time, but he said he inquired with his dad about it. And that's all. I thought of it, never really inquired about it anymore. But a year later, just before Christmas last year, of course, Lindsay passed away. And shortly after that, Nick called me one day. He told me he wanted me to come down. He had some gear for me. And when I got down, he said, well, I don't have any gear for you, so I kind of lied to you about that. But he said, I do have a donation for you. I said, well, what do you got? And he said, what about that boat there? And he pointed to this boat, right? And on that, man, I like that. We need the boat really bad, and that was a perfect boat for what we wanted, right? And on that, like, I just wrapped my arms around it, I gave him a big hug, right? And I tried to hold back his ears. And well, that's the story about the boat, I guess.
Yeah, it's a game changer for you.
It was definitely a game changer, yeah. Everything we do, every achievement, every milestone we cross is helping increase the amount of stuff we can take out of the water. And it's only a matter of time at this rate, the way things are growing now, that we're going to have multiple boats out, and there's going to be multiple groups doing what we're doing now.
Is that your goal?
Absolutely. I want lots of different groups here in Newfoundland to see what we're doing and see how easy it is doing, how much fun it is. And if we can make a way that there's money involved for people so they can afford to do it, then I know there's going to be other groups doing what we're doing now.
Can you back it up for us and just tell us how this all started? How did the Clean Harbor Initiative begin?
Well, like I said so many times, I spent 21 years diving for sea urchins. And when we dive into harbors, you'd be diving around trash all day long, right? It was heartbreaking. So after a long time at that, it kind of got to me, and I wanted to do something about it. And I wouldn't get any younger, so I figured it was now or never, right? And I thought if I can film enough underwater trash and do enough cleanups and get people on board with it and bring awareness to the problem, then we'd get a whole bunch of people cleaning up our harbors, right?
And how much has this operation grown over the past couple of years?
Well, it's grown quite a bit. Since we started, like first when I started, I just had a bit of ratty old dive gear, and there was none of the equipment I needed to do this. But now, I mean, we got probably $70,000–$80,000 of stuff donated to us in the last 6–7 months, right? So, and just recently, we had 2 brand new outboard motors donated to us. We're going to have funding in the next few weeks so we can hire some people to go out with us, right? When we get our 5-man crew aboard of our 2 boats, we're going to attack the ocean trash problem commercially the same way we did when we were fishing for sea urchins. We'll have every day we'll be able to come in with boatload after boatload of trash, right? We're going to make a big difference. In my lifetime, I think we got no problem to take 100,000 tires out of the water and probably a couple million pounds of trash.
Well, Sean Bath, congratulations, and thank you so much for telling us all about what you do.
Thank you, and thanks for coming out and helping bring awareness to this issue.
Yeah, well, now to another ocean-related story. This next item is about a new local artist who, during the pandemic, found himself drifting towards a new pastime.
Yeah, that's a pretty good pun, too. This journeyman welder sets out in a kayak, combing beaches for driftwood, and the abstract art that he creates is a big hit with buyers, and it's also been a much-needed distraction during a difficult time.
Someone on Etsy requested a really big piece not long ago. like a piece that would cost thousands of dollars. I was like, shit, I wish I had a big, a big piece. So I'm probably gonna cut all this frayed stuff off and sand it down so much. Most of my pieces are root systems. Like they came from roots. It has to have like twists and turns and a really cool grain. It's kind of like what I feel when I see pieces of driftwood. Like I'm looking at it, I'm thinking like, it's almost like, does this thing have a story or does it not have a story? If it just works right for me, I'll keep it. And if it don't, I'll throw it away. Like I've said before, I've went to beaches that had like 1,000 pieces of driftwood and I just searched through it and I didn't find anything. But then I'll go to a beach and kayak and there's like one piece of driftwood on the beach and that's the piece. And this is my high-tech photo booth with the latest in photo booth technology. It's a piece of cardboard with wax paper. But man, it works, man. I guess it's like still movement is important in a lot of these pieces to me. Like I feel like each piece is some sort of character, and I wanted to give the impression that they're alive, so they're moving, you know? Abstract art is not for everybody, I know that. It's not for most people, maybe. Like, you know, guys at work, I work with tradesmen, they look at something like this and like, oh, yes, boy, yeah, that's a shelf. Yes, boy, it's nice shelf. And they'd look at something like that and be like, what the, is that by? You know, it probably wouldn't get it, but.
So has your art helped you through the pandemic?
For sure, yeah. I mean, my wife had to shut down her business for a while, so she made a garden. She started growing vegetables. I mean, I'm well with the government, so we didn't have much time off, but at first, we were shut down for like 2 weeks where we didn't go in every day, and this definitely helped keep my sanity. I mean, I could come out here and just spend hours just pass away, and I don't even know it, you know. So yeah, definitely, there's definitely a way to pass away at a time if you're not allowed to go anywhere. Either way, as long as I'm doing something creative, at least on the weekends, it kind of gives. It just gives everything meaning, I guess. I mean, obviously sometimes I can go in my truck and look for driftwood, but sometimes I'll take my boat, go out on the beach, there's literally one piece of driftwood, and that's the one I want. And I don't know until I see it. Every piece of driftwood does have a story. It could have came from across the ocean. It could have came from, you know, someone could have chopped it down and threw it in the ocean, or the tide could have just dragged it out, or could have came from England. It could have, I mean, driftwood does have a story. It was a tree, it was alive, you know? I just feel like I'm adding the next chapter to that, I guess.
Wow, what the entrepreneur there.
Yeah, beautiful artwork as well.
Yeah, I feel really bad. I feel like I've burned an entire gallery at beach fires over the last part of my life. I'm really sorry about that. I had no idea.
It was so interesting when he you know, finds that piece of driftwood that speaks to him. I wonder what it is.
Yeah.
About it that speaks to him.
Yeah, no.
Anyways.
Great.
Well, thanks so much to freelancers Connor McCann and Rodrigo Iniguez for that piece.
I'm Ramraj Shavendran, the co-host of the St. John's Morning Show. I want to let you know about a series we've been working on here at CBC NL. It's called NL in Color. I got a chance to sit down with folks that live right here in St. John's that don't always look and sound like the people around them.
I'd be excited eating like mac and cheese and fish and brews.
The need to belong is less important to me.
People are gonna think that brown people don't know what a crosswalk is. They think you come from, I don't know where.
We've already given them so much, how can they ask for more? I was absolutely floored.
You can tune in right here on Here and Now or on CBC Radio 1 or even online, cbc.ca/NL.
Well, it looks like there's finally some light at the end of the pandemic tunnel. Today, federal health authorities talked about vaccinating most Canadians by the end of next year. There are now 2 vaccines close to approval and more hopefully to come. Our David Cochran looks at how a rollout might work.
With the country in the grips of a COVID surge, the government is finalizing plans for a COVID vaccine.
Getting those vaccines from an airport tarmac or a port to Canadians right across the country is a significant logistical challenge.
A challenge complicated by the requirement that the Pfizer vaccine be stored at extreme temperatures of -70 degrees, which has the government looking to buy freezers and freezer trucks to store and transport it.
Right now, we're just getting those things ready so that they can be situated in the area where the ultra cold vaccine will be deployed.
That deployment will be no easy task. Hospitals are stretched, public health working on bust, so a nationwide supply chain has to be built.
That will involve multiple government agencies, possibly private contracts as well, may well involve the Canadian Armed Forces.
Already pressed into service when long-term care homes were overwhelmed, the armed forces could soon form the spine of an eventual vaccine distribution network.
We anticipate receiving the doses sometime, as they say, in the first quarter of next year. So hopefully, January, February, and we would start to vaccinate.
That's if the vaccines get regulatory approval and arrive on time. The plan is to start with vulnerable populations and frontline healthcare workers. If all goes well, Dr. New says the vast majority of the Canadian population could be vaccinated by the end of next year. David Cochran, CBC News, Ottawa.
Nunavut is fighting back against a sudden spike in COVID-19 infections. 34 new cases are being reported today, bringing the total to 60. The very first case in the territory was reported just 11 days ago. So Nunavut is going into a territory-wide lockdown tomorrow, and federal health officials are backing the move.
I think it was a decision well made by the Chief Medical Officer of Health there to put sort of restrictions on lockdown, sort of limiting travel between the communities to really try and put a clamp down for the next 2 weeks.
Along with travel restrictions, all schools, recreational facilities, and bars will be closed for 14 days. Restaurants will be allowed to serve takeout only. Outdoor gatherings of more than 5 people are banned, and everyone except essential workers are being told to work from home.
Well, the government of Ontario is struggling to get COVID-19 under control in long-term care facilities. Right now, there are outbreaks in about 100 homes in that province, and the families of residents are worried the tragedies of the first wave will be repeated again in the second. The CBC's Katie Nicholson has that story.
My mother was always well-dressed, very, very elegant.
Dementia couldn't steal Malvina Shabe's style or grit. The pandemic was another matter.
My mother, being a Holocaust survivor, survived atrocities, and something like COVID in a few days just took her away from us.
Jeff Shabes is speaking out because he wants other families to know it's up to them to advocate for their loved ones in care.
My mother had symptoms for 3 days before I knew about it, and I only knew because of a call by FaceTime. She had cold sores, she was coughing terribly, and a running nose. Classic symptoms.
It took 4 days to get the test results. 3 days after that, she was dead.
It's absolutely heartbreaking to see the numbers rise.
Ontario's not-for-profit long-term care homes say testing has to improve.
It's taking too long to get test results back. There's been a slight improvement, and in some parts of the province it seems better, but it could take 3 to 4 days to get a test result back, which is 3 to 4 days too long.
The Premier knows it's a problem.
We need 100% testing across the board to literally lock the long-term care down.
It's not clear when testing will be locked down, though the province is pumping $540 million into combating COVID in homes.
Bill 218!
But it also passed new legislation making sure families can't sue homes that fail to protect residents.
They're trying to protect themselves from these people who have dealt with such tragedy, such anguish.
The kind of anguish Jeff Shabes knows too well.
The feeling of helplessness is just something that I can't describe.
Helplessness that's growing, along with the risk to those most vulnerable to the virus. Katie Nicholson, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, sending in the Canadian military to fight the coronavirus in long-term care homes cost about $53 million. CBC News obtained the cost numbers from the Department of National Defence. Well, back in the spring, during the first wave of the pandemic, military personnel were deployed to 54 facilities in Ontario and Quebec. 55 members of the forces contracted COVID-19 during their deployment, and they have all recovered. The total cost of the military's response to the pandemic, and this includes bringing Canadians back from foreign countries, that stands at more than $460 million.
Stedman Brophy of Daniels Harbour. He's a flying fisherman and so much more. The next of our archival specials, Sunday at noon and Monday at 7.
Well, COVID-19 has caused countless disruptions for students and children. We saw the Santa pictures item earlier on Here and Now. But for grade 12s, there's one tradition that hasn't been canceled, and that's getting ready for grad.
Yes, one dress shop owner in Nova Scotia says students have been pouring in during the pandemic, even though many don't have a set date for the big day. She's even seeing students from this province. Colleen Jones has that story.
Perfect on you, darling.
It's more like the fitted look and like sparkles and the lace.
I'm at a shop called Beautiful.
The gold pops up in the coloring with your hair.
Melania Giro has driven from Amherst to hunt down the perfect prom dress.
I really love the contrast, like with the gold and like a navy blue and the fuchsia color.
Shopping in November might seem early for a June event, especially when that June event might not happen. But there's no room for pessimism when it comes to grade 12 prom and this ritual of prom dress shopping.
I guess I'm just trying to stay optimistic because that's really all that we can do during COVID.
We're packed all weekend, double, triple booked.
Denise McIsaac owns Beautiful. There's been no hesitancy from grade 12 students ready to buy. If anything, it's the opposite.
No, I think there's an urgency about this year because the girls are worried about closures. They're coming from New Brunswick, they're flying in from Newfoundland, they're coming from Cape Breton.
I'm saying yes to the we tried to stockpile and make sure we had enough inventory that we could get dresses for everybody. Custom dresses, I don't think I'm going to go very deep past November. I'm worried about ordering. It's like a stampede went through here.
The fear of running out of stock is one thing, but there's another pressure.
Don't want to run into the risk of getting the same dress as anyone else.
Having the same dress as anyone else in your high school is taboo. Stores either keep track or schools have their own Facebook or Instagram accounts where you can make sure your dress is unique.
The rules have always been one dress per school, one color. And we've expanded it this year to more than one dress, but in different colors.
Samantha Daly and Brooke Johnson are going to prom together. They're coordinating outfits and making sure the colors they choose work together.
Well, we were thinking like a black dress for her, and then just so it's like simplistic, and then a bright blue corsage if I was to go with a blue dress.
Prom dress shopping for these gals is bigger than Christmas. Janelle Seelig said that's because it's such a big night.
It's just like a night that you're going to remember for like the rest of your life. It's a transition from childhood to adulthood. And prom is the top of that for the girls. It's a big deal. It's a big deal.
Oh, I love it. It makes me so happy. It's like a princess dress.
And they want that big deal to be a very big memory, even if prom night is COVID different. Colleen Jones, CBC News, Bedford.
So you can adapt to just about anything.
It's true.
Right?
Yeah.
There you go. Well,
and those face shields are, they're nice. You can still see your face. You
Yes.
have some sequence masks or something.
There you go. There'll be like a contest to have the best mask.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this is the story of the night. Wait until you see the face on this one.
Yes, a three-legged cat in central Newfoundland has found his forever home.
Meet Bubby. He was recently rescued from the Exploits Valley SPCA.
Yes, and the family that ended up adopting him already had a connection to the cat. Oh my goodness. One of their family members used to feed Bubby when he was a stray. Then that family member, Boyd Abbott, passed away.
Now, the family tried and tried to put food out, but after Boyd passed away, Bubby just wouldn't come back. And then 2 years later, there was a community search effort to find the feline. And when his picture was posted online, Boyd's family quickly got in touch and they decided to adopt the little cat. There's Bubby.
How adorable is that?
That's such a nice story. The cat came back.
Oh, what a great story. Definitely warms your heart, kind of like what tomorrow's going to do with the sunshine. We're looking at about 5 degrees in St. John's tomorrow. We might see a few showers in play, but overall we're looking at temperatures around 2 degrees for Grand Falls, Windsor, with the potential for some flurries. Same thing on the west coast in that onshore flow. You'll note winds tomorrow will be light in the east, a little bit breezy in the west with gusts gusts upwards of about 20 to 30 kilometers per hour. And then up across the Big Land, we're looking at a temperature near -8 for Lab City, -3 for Happy Valley Goose Bay, and then as you head towards southeastern portions of Labrador, some sunshine, but temperatures will be hovering around the 0-degree mark with those westerly winds anywhere from 20 to as much as 40 kilometers per hour. So overall, not a bad day tomorrow.
Yeah, not bad at all. Well, thanks so much for joining us, everyone. Have a great night.
Yeah.
Good night.
Still thinking about Bubby.
Oh, it's such a lovely story.
It is.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.